I could never have anticipated how one ordinary evening would turn my world upside down. What began as a quiet night with my grandfather, a simple dinner and a movie, just as we'd done countless times, unexpectedly became something I could never have imagined. By the time we were alone in his room, the situation had shifted so drastically that I barely recognized it. Something felt off, yet I couldn't bring myself to step away. What happened that night has lingered in my mind ever since. I've never spoken about it to anyone, but tonight, I feel ready to share it with you. Believe me when I say, this story will stay with you. My grandfather had always been my rock, the one person I could rely on without question. He was my safe haven, no matter the circumstances. I spent countless weekends at his house, which felt like a second home to me. There was something uniquely comforting about it. The scent of his well-worn leather chair, the way his home seemed perpetually warm and inviting. That evening started just like any other. My parents were away, and I was staying with him for a few days. After finishing dinner, we decided to relax with a movie in the living room. A casual night of Netflix, as they say. It had become our usual routine, a way to unwind together after a long day. We chose a light-hearted comedy, something easy to keep the mood cheerful. But as the movie progressed, something subtle shifted. I can't pinpoint exactly what it was, but the way he looked at me felt different, and I couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that stirred within me. At first I dismissed it, convincing myself that I was overthinking. After all, he was my grandfather, the person I trusted most. But as the minutes passed, the atmosphere grew heavier. We ended up sitting closer, our arms brushing occasionally, and the laughter we shared gradually gave way to silence and prolonged glances. The way he looked at me was unfamiliar, making my heart race in a way I didn't understand. The movie kept playing, but my focus had shifted. The room, once so familiar, now felt strange and foreign. The faint hum of the television became background noise as I became increasingly aware of the tension in the air. His gaze lingered too long, and his smile, usually comforting, felt different, as if he was seeing something in me that I wasn't prepared for him to notice. I tried to push the thoughts away, but when I shifted slightly on the couch, our arms touched again. It was a fleeting moment, but it felt as though time froze. The warmth of his skin against mine sent my heart racing, leaving me momentarily breathless. I instinctively moved back, but not far enough. When I glanced at him, his eyes were already on me. They were soft, yet there was an unfamiliar intensity in them, as if he was waiting for me to speak or react. But I couldn't. I was paralyzed, my mind spinning as I tried to comprehend what was happening and how to stop it. I wanted to pull away, to dispel the strange feeling that kept me frozen in place, but I couldn't. Fear and confusion held me still, while an inexplicable pull toward him left me torn. It felt wrong, yet at the same time, there was something unexplainably magnetic about it. In that moment, I realized I didn't know how to break the silence or pretend everything was normal anymore. The weight of the situation was crushing, and I felt utterly unprepared to face it. Before I could collect my thoughts, he reached out and took my hand. His touch was gentle, yet intentional, as though he was giving me a chance to withdraw. But I didn't. I couldn't. When he leaned closer, every instinct in me screamed to stop, to push him away, to pretend none of this was happening. Yet I stayed motionless, my heart pounding as his lips met mine. It was soft at first, almost hesitant, as though he wasn't entirely certain of his actions. But the tension in the room was undeniable, thick like a heavy fog. At first the kiss felt slow and tentative, but it soon deepened into something far more significant. The world outside, the movie, the room, everything faded into the background. In that moment, it was just the two of us, trapped in an overwhelming sense of intimacy. For a fleeting second, I didn't know if I even wanted it to stop. A rush of heat flooded through me, a confusing mix of fear and exhilaration swirling together. My mind screamed that this was wrong, that I needed to pull away. But my body didn't respond. I was frozen, unsure how to stop it, or if I even wanted to. I found myself completely immersed in the sensation, the warmth of his touch, the comfort of his presence, and the way everything seemed to fall into place in that fleeting moment. Yet deep within, I understood that something fundamental had shifted. I couldn't define it or explain it, but I couldn't deny its reality, and that realization filled me with fear. He paused briefly, his breath warm against my skin, and softly whispered, "Let's find somewhere more private." Without a second thought, I followed, my heart pounding and my thoughts racing. For a brief instant, I questioned whether I should stop or speak up, but the words refused to come. I trailed behind him to his room, my mind in chaos and my pulse loud in my ears. It felt as though we were both caught in this inescapable moment, unable to break free. I was acutely aware of what was happening, yet I couldn't summon the strength